So we talk about these domino effects and how change creates more change and gains speed and becomes scalable and large, right? But dominoes can swing either ways. They can lead to good things. They can also lead to challenges, right? Because a bad monsoon pushes a family into abject poverty, right? A small loan can resurrect a steady livelihood. And so we always say that, sometimes it's important to move very quickly and do what you can do rather than wait for the right design, the right time. Because not doing something can also have adverse effects on the society. What do you think about this need to? Because in the development sector, many a times people would say, "Let's wait till we get the right answer." But sometimes doing something which is not fully ready, but it can prevent a downslide. It can prevent the adverse effects of what's happening today, and that's a better idea than waiting for the right thing to do at some point.
I think one of the best examples of this was when the lockdown started in India. And I guess most of the nonprofits shifted to the rapid response because there was no time to continue working on the issues, education, on human rights, and all the different aspects because there was something so huge and so challenging for everybody that I just saw that the nonprofits that I was volunteering with at that time, that they were like, okay, we're canceling everything because nothing else matters. And we're just going to work on buying the oxygen support for the hospitals. And we're going to distribute food to the people who are left without any income because uh, all the daily wage workers were left without any income because they were kicked out of the houses where they worked and the factories and everything, and they had to return to their small cities and villages. So I felt that it was such a powerful rapid response when everybody realized that something is a priority for all of us right now. And they were pretty good at it because the resources were found, the partnerships were emerging very fast between hospitals, nonprofits, communities, and so many other institutions that I was just impressed. I mean, it was a very hard time for all of us to observe, but in terms of efficiency and the speed of action, it's one of the most powerful things that I have seen in my life.
Hmm. Rapid action as the downslide.
Yeah. I've also seen this in how India's landscape with sexual harassment, especially at the workplace, is evolved. It started out with like the one incident and the one court case where the court actually ruled against the woman who filed the case, Kanwari Devi. And at that point in time, a lot of movements or like a lot of feminist groups kind of gathered a lot of momentum and they spoke out against it. It didn't automatically mean that they had a full list of requirements that they needed to institutionalize and they did it in the one day and they took it to court. But it just kind of stayed relevant because people had the momentum and the incentive to speak up about it. And because it stayed relevant, it stayed in the forethought for a lot of people, it became the Vishaka guidelines. And then when it was time for us to pick out what was lacking in it or what actually did not encompass, which we could see, there was an opening with which to see what are the things that are lacking. If that had never happened, if there were no momentum at that point in time, the Vishaka guidance would probably never have come into implementation. And from there, now we have POSH, which is an incredible, very encompassing, very able to be adapted to context, legality. So with that, I kind of think even people speaking up, people mobilizing against something or for something and taking the initiative to participate is incredibly helpful.
It's interesting that the two examples you gave, in one case, what was important was to reduce the friction that had gone up in people's lives because they were thrown out of jobs or they had no food. And the system had to move to actually make things easier. Whereas the second example that you gave, you had to actually increase the friction to something which to prevent or to use that moment, use that opportunity to prevent further downslide into how sexual harassment was being seen in the country, right? So this rapid action is a very important phenomenon that sometimes there's a window in which you rapidly need to reduce the friction or increase the friction so that the change scales in a very different way, right? So I think we many a times do not think about friction as an important force of driving change on both the sides. Sometimes you have to increase it, sometimes you have to reduce it. And you do it in a window of possibilities because there is always not losing that moment, if you will. Right? For example, it was, I think, Varghese Kurian who said that a person who does not have respect for time and does not have the sense of timing can achieve it. So if you really want speed, then modulating friction at the right time so that it does not cause a downslide actually increases the speed of change in many ways. So that's interesting. That the two examples kind of illustrate that fact about what do we mean by rapid action that arrests the downslide, right?
When I think in both examples, it is also seen how interdependency plays a role, because rapid action is sort of impossible unless you are doing it with a lot of other actors, because you can do it yourself, but then this rapid will not be efficient. So I really love this phrase, we're not just interconnected, we're interdependent. And do you want to bring any example of how interdependency can prevent new bottlenecks from emerging within the rapid actions?
So if you look at an example of, I learned a lot from spending time with Celco Foundation. Celco has been working on improving healthcare by leveraging distributed renewable energy, right? One could say that it's a solar project, but actually it's a question of interdependence, like because it's not about the solar. So is it about energy? No, it's not about energy. It's about improving the ability of healthcare workers in a remote primary healthcare center to actually meet the needs of their community. So is it about their ability? No, it's not only about their ability. It's also that this kind of a setup continues to function. It's about operations and maintenance. So is it about the government's ability to maintain such infrastructure? No, it's not about that. It's about a market, because if you have to maintain this infrastructure, there has to be a stable construct of doing this in a reliable, time-bound way. So it's all these issues that are so interconnected that if you see that because of very rapid incidents of lightning, say in the northeastern states of India, if the solar installations are failing very rapidly, then it has this whole interconnected set of issues. And if you want to really arrest it quickly, then you have to suddenly strengthen the operations and maintenance infrastructure, because without that, it's not that the solar is working or not working. It's that the healthcare outcomes of the society are made in challenge. It's so connected, right? And so sometimes, and we observed that in the book on saying that things like you were saying are so interconnected. The second provocation on the same line was a swift decision at one end could improve resource utilization at the other. So many a times it's not what you are arresting, but it's downstream and connected ripple effects which actually prevent the downslide. So if you take care of the solar installation, it prevents a downslide in the healthcare outcomes of the community, which is what the real question is.